Hello everybody, I am The Worm, and welcome back to Danganronpa V3. Starting today in the sound gallery, let's go ahead and put on a little beautiful lie. Yeah, and now in retrospect we can see this is an aptly named track here. Alright, so today, starting off a bit differently, I decided I kind of wanted to talk about this now while it's fresh, rather than waiting till at the very end where, maybe some people don't want to stick around that far. So I want to talk about the trial and my thoughts about it, because I'm finally caught up on the comments of what people were saying. Now, at the time of recording this one, the final episode of the trial has not gone up yet. I think that's happening tomorrow, but the first two parts are up, and so I've been able to see what some people are saying, and I've had some time to think about it, so I want to talk about a few things before moving on to what will probably be the finale. Again, I don't know how much is left, but may as well talk about this now. And so, first things first, I will say, first impressions can be fickle. There can be many cases where maybe I don't like something as much, and then as time goes on and I've had time to reflect and maybe look over it again with new insight, you could come to enjoy something more. And then there are moments where the opposite can happen, where I like something when I see it for the first time, but then it has time to sit for a while, and then I realize, maybe this doesn't sit as well with me as I thought. And things like, for one example, I am a part of me is somewhat okay with the fact that I played through Umineko before I started doing Let's Plays. At the time, I'd not read pretty much any of mystery novels before, or anything in the mystery genre. And so, as you may guess, I did pretty terribly as an Umineko reader. I can imagine that if I had done a Let's Play, it would have been quite frustrating for a lot of people to see me stumble my way through it. And it was one of those instances where it was only where I got to the last few episodes where I started to understand some things. And even then, I had to, after completing the game, or the visual novel, I had to look at supplementary material, the manga, other people's Let's Plays, people writing theories online. I had to go through a lot of that before I really understood everything what had gone on there. And then I had a much greater appreciation for it. So, it seems that a few people, in watching my Let's Play here, seems to think that I have a kind of negative initial impression. And I kind of want to talk about that a bit, because I think there are two things going on here that I certainly was feeling a bit uncertain and a bit uneasy going through this trial. And now that I've had some time to think about it, I think I know why. Two things. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is, and it's something I think I alluded to in the episode that's going to come out before this one, the previous episode, and maybe I mentioned it on both the previous episode and the episode before that. I may have mentioned this. A part of me got the sense, and again, this is all just kind of speculation, and this very well could be me reading too much into this. That is a completely fair possibility here. I'm willing to accept that. But, you know, I can recall saying Danganronpa 3, we had DR1 and 2, and then DR3 was the show, the anime. I recall stating my opinion that is something like, I could imagine DR3 being the ending. Like that wrapped everything up, and I can recall going into DRV3 thinking, okay, everything seemed to be wrapped up. Why are we doing another one? That was, in addition to hearing that some people had mixed opinions, that was kind of my mindset going into this. And so when we get to this moment where we have these ideas where, oh, the audience is the mastermind, and it is the world's hunger for additional killing games, and they're ravenous, and even, that final those final scenes where we were going after, funnily enough, it wasn't Tsumugi, it was Kibo, who was, a stand-in for the audience, just to hammer that point home even further. Some of those comments that they were saying and all that sort of stuff, I suppose what happened was I developed a kind of story in my head where maybe the creators of Danganronpa wanted the Danganronpa story to end with 3. But then the audience demanded more. And maybe the team that made Danganronpa, maybe they wanted to start a new series, do something else, but there was such a demand, and they felt obligated in that sense to keep making these Danganronpa games, even if they didn't really want to. Thereby providing them the storyline that they were going to go with, that the killing game has now it's taken on a new form. A few people were saying how it's not about hope and despair anymore. Now it's the killing game has taken on a life of its own, that sort of thing. And so, again, that could be completely wrong, and I'm willing, to hear it. If that wasn't the case, fair enough. I'll actually be glad to hear that if that's not, if what I just supposed, if that's not true, I'll be glad to hear it, because that was part of what was making me feel a bit uneasy, right? Because I don't want to hear, looking at some of those comments that the audience was making, I don't want to hear that the creators of Danganronpa were getting. Would abuse be too harsh of a statement? That, or at least they felt pressured into doing something they didn't want to do, or that was the kind of feeling I was getting here. So that was kind of one angle that was leaving me feeling a bit off through this. And that's completely separate to the actual plot and judging it on its own merits. And so what do I think of the idea itself? That this is that the original couple Danganronpa games were entirely fictional, and yet the world decided to do killing games for real, and so they invented this fiction of this whole idea of erasing memories and putting real people into it. I'm not opposed to that, and I even think that was I think there is a lot of cool ideas involved in this thing. And I said it a couple moments there. A couple of the ones that I can recall, there was that moment where, Shuichi had to be confronted with his own past self, showing, how, well, not just Shuichi, we got to see even Kaito and Kaede, them desiring to be part of the killing game, and, they were these sort of manic expressions, and, having to deal with that. I mean, it could be almost haunting. I mean, that's good stuff. That's pretty awesome. I suppose a question that came up as I was thinking about this, though, I guess this kind of leads back to the other point I made before, was this the plan the whole time? And again, I'm playing a lot of these games far after they've been made. It's been years, so it's not like I was kind of hooked in at the time during this series development. So again, this could all be wrong. But my question is, so DR1 and 2 were made. Was it always the plan for them to be fictional? And DRV3 was always gonna be like this? That's kind of what my thoughts were. Because I suppose the other part that was making me feel uneasy is, okay, if this was the plan all along, then okay, I gotcha. Fair enough. But if it was done, if this whole turn to make it all fiction and to, how do I put this? Not cheapen. That's not right. I guess a part of me was worried that they were I always hate when I struggle to find the right words. I guess I'll say cheapen, but that's not quite right. To cheapen the first two in order to make their point in this game, in this story. That's not the right way to say it. Yeah, I don't know. But again, I definitely think, we still got to go through the ending. And so I think when I finish that, and I'll have the opportunity to kind of review my whole playthrough and think back on the rest of the games and maybe put it into perspective, and I'll be able to appreciate it more. Yeah. I don't know. I think I gotta get used to the idea. I mean, I don't usually replay games or visual novels. That's just not a habit of mine. But I've been thinking, okay, so after playing this one, if I were to go back and play through DR1 and 2, how would I feel going into it? I'm not sure about that. Because I saw some people talking about similar ideas. Okay, I think I've entered into the rambly part of this. I think I've fallen off track, so I think I should probably end this section and then move on to the actual ending before I just ramble too much more into this. So, to sort of sum up, I'm not... I think it's too early for me to say one or the other if I... Certainly, I will say I do feel somewhat mixed at the moment, but I wouldn't say whether or not... I'm not going to firmly say... What do I want to say? I'm having a lot of trouble here. I'm struggling here, folks. In terms of difficulty, it wasn't very difficult, considering, it was just when we got near the end there, it was just having the singular truth bullet. And I mean, if I have to choose between getting stuck versus having only the one choice, certainly it feels better to be able to just move on instead of getting stuck. Because boy, just getting stuck in one of these visual novel things, whether it's a trial in Danganronpa, or if it's a trouble, or if it's a puzzle in the, what was it, Zero Escape series, getting stuck in any of those parts is just very frustrating. So I think it felt good to just be able to kind of move along. So that was good. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad I was able to sort of see what was coming, in the sense that, now of course I wasn't able to see particularly how they were going to do it. Well, and it's not like they had revealed that voting thing at the end yet, but I was able to see that the only way we were going to be able to get out of this would be to to not play the killing game, essentially, to force Danganronpa to come to an end. Yeah, I'm gonna need to think about it more. Okay, but yeah, certainly I don't. No, let's just end it there. I'm too rambly at this point. Give me a moment, and we will be back in the game, or in the trial. I'll make sure to leave a... What was it? The time... What are they called? No, not bookmark. The thing on the chapters. Maybe? Are they called chapters? The thing where you can put specific times in the description, and then they show up on the scroll bar. Gonna do that. Gotta remember to do that. Okay, 1 second, please. Okay, we are back. We are back in it. Before we do start in earnest, I do want to say, though, the comments that people were leaving were very... Now, again, the previous episode hasn't gone up yet, but the episode for the comments for the first two parts of this trial have been very thoughtful and have made me think about this, and I'm excited to hear everyone's more complete thoughts as we go on here. So that's been fun to read over. So yeah, how did we leave off? Kibo, who was seen to have been overridden by whatever failsafe Tsumugi and the rest of the Danganronpa staff, his personality was erased, and thus, as the audience surrogate, it seemed like he was going to vote for Hope, and yet we somehow managed to reach through to him anyway, and so no one voted, and thus the only option is for the game to end, and potentially we're all gonna die. So that's, I mean, I hope not. Certainly I hope... What I'm hoping is Tsumugi and the rest of whoever's running this thing maybe let us go? But I could also see we do all die, and yet we become martyrs in a sense that kind of wakes the world up and realize that they don't need to continue this thing, or that it was never good that they continued it in the first place. So, yeah, let's cross our fingers and hope for a new future, eh?
Why? It can't be.
Okay.
What?
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense. So essentially, because of the confrontation that we had, so Kibo's personality did get erased, but because of Shuichi's final confrontation there, he was able to convince enough people to not vote. Gotcha, okay. Makes sense.
That's true.
Yeah, and that was another thing. I guess I haven't directly commented on this. For the people who... If anyone skipped the first part of this video, one thing I haven't directly talked about was... Yes, there was this kind of thread of the plot talking about fiction and whether or not it can change the world, and I didn't comment on it because it just seemed... I don't know, it just seems so weird and so silly. Like yes, of course fictional stories can change things and affect people. Obviously. Or at least it seemed self-evident to me, so I didn't really feel the need to say anything about it, but yeah. So, I mean, that's that, I suppose.
That's it.
What is that? What?
Have we ever seen Himeko make that face before?
Stop! What?
No. That's it.
The power of fiction. I see. I don't know. Again, this is perfectly fine. I get it. It's fine, but it's just not. It's not a very. To me personally. It's like I've already learned this lesson, right? So while I'm with Shuichi, I'm glad they're doing this, and I agree with what he's saying, but it's not. I guess my impression right now, in the moment, I'm not as excited as I feel I should be. That's kind of where I'm at. Okay, I could see another twist here. Let's see if it happens. Is there going to be one final attempt to get us? Yeah, but I could see them being sore losers about it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, so we are going the martyr route.
That's true.
Oof. I mean, that certainly... Well... Bittersweet comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the will of the outside world. Destroy this entire fictional world and end the killing game. That is what the outside world wants.
It's okay.
Okay. Because... that's it!
All right! So I should be able to hold my head up high!
Huh?
Cosplay cat criminal.
Everyone!
Why, what is this gonna look like? Oh, okay, yeah. So, is this really gonna be it, or is there going to be anything after this? That's my question. Man, we were much, I mean, if this is the end, certainly we were much closer than I thought. I thought there could have been quite a lot more, but I guess not. Well, we still have to wait. This doesn't look like proper... These don't look like proper credits. So I think they're... Oh, wait. Maybe they are proper credits. Well, I'll be honest, I was hoping they could live. I mean, I sort of understand the idea that... See, there's the Cospox. See over there. What does that mean? Yeah, so I understand the idea that in becoming martyrs and ensuring there's no survivors, well, one, practically, since it seems what they've been doing through these seasons is they have a couple survivors, at least, and then they participate in the next killing game. That's what we saw with Rantaro there. And so, if they all die, that prevents that prevents that possibility, and just their sacrifice. So it ends the practical possibility of continuing the killing game in the way that they have been, but then it also serves as a kind of martyrdom for the rest of the world to understand and to change their minds. Yeah, so the everything about these characters, their ultimate abilities and everything, that was all manufactured. I mean, they admitted to that. And yet, Miyu was still able to create all these wondrous devices. Was that all? I mean, of course, now that we know that there was this sixth mono kid that was always watching everything, could it be the case? Could it be the case that she wasn't actually a genius inventor, and it was just they were monitoring everything, and then... And I'm talking about things like the electro hammer and the grenades. Well, no, clearly not, because the grenades took out the sixth mono kid in that when Kokichi used it. So I guess Miyu was a genius, actually. Danganronpa 53. Getting a ton of stuff here. Easter egg. Okay, hang on. Let's do this real quick. Okay, and right back to the main menu, huh? Wow. Oh, wait a sec. Oh, is it because I'm in the main menu? I need to...
Are you okay?
Oh. Okay. Hello, Shuichi.
Yeah, somehow.
Okay, we're still going.
I'm sort of stuck here. Someone help me out.
Himiko, careful.
Yeah, I'm saved.
We made it. Hey, how were we saved? Why are we still alive?
Yeah, why are we alive? I wonder...
Oh. Hey, we get an epilogue. Very nice. I will say this, continuing our discussion from the first part of this episode. You know, again, now that I've had time to think about it, that whole part of the trial where they, hang on, they say here, 53 times hope moved forward, 53 times suffering continued. The idea how the first two games, DR1 and 2, it was all about that hope versus despair. And yes, I know you guys have mentioned it in the comments how this one is not about hope versus despair. But to just hammer that point home, the idea of how... I need to think how to phrase this. The idea of now how hope has become just a big, as big of an obstacle as despair, in the sense that their hope perpetuates the cycle. With and that was most exemplified when we switched over to Kibo, and how he... Now this was before he knew he was the audience surrogate, where he... You know, he did the thing that all the previous protagonists did, where he hopped on the hope train. And he said, no matter what, we're gonna hope. And then, of course, it was Shuichi who realized that, okay, no, hang on a second, we're just playing into their hands. And of course, you know, it took a little bit for me to fully realize that along with him. But, because it goes against what we've been trained to understand about this scenario, right? Because it's always been, as long as you hope, you eventually it's going to turn out all right. Because that's how it's always been done in DR. So I guess in that sense, this is probably overused, and I don't know if it's exactly appropriate here, but I feel like you could say it subverts your expectations, right? I feel like that's an easy thing to say, but that phrase, subverting expectations, but that might be a bit overused or something, or I might not be using it correctly all the time. But yeah, so certainly, yes, there's definitely good ideas here. Yeah. Although, you know, looking at a screen like this, certainly I wouldn't, I'd say these guys are feeling pretty hopeful.
So, what do we do now?
We didn't think of a plan for what to do after. I thought that was the end of us back there.
But we survived, and that's the truth.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of hope versus despair, it looks like the central sort of theme or what they're trying to get across is truth versus lies. Although it's interesting because they say stuff like, oh, what was it? I recall... What was it? I think it was during the trial, the previous trial, not this one, the one where Kaito was in the robot, where Kokichi died. There was a phrase Kaito said, what was it? It was something like, there's something beyond truth. And that was where Shuichi eventually came around to the idea of lying in order to try and trick Monokuma. So what is ultimately them, what are they trying to say? That, well, clearly they've said fiction can change things. That seems really simple. I don't know. What would you all say the central idea or theme of DRV3 is? I'd say truth versus lies is probably a big one. The value and power of fiction, that's certainly a big one. I mean, our antagonist, Tsumugi, is a kind of liar in the sense that, you know, she uses disguises. And of course, this whole fiction, and what was the phrase they used? Ultimate real fiction? Ugh. Yeah, they're definitely trying to say something here. Okay, let's continue.
Hey,
You're right.
I'd like to believe that.
why?
No.
Eh?
Okay.
I know if I could vote in here, I'd certainly want you guys to live. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the
Remember.
best.
Hmm.
You're right.
Eh?
Because if I remember correctly,
What?
Oh, interesting. Since DR1 and 2 is meant to be not ultimate real fiction, but fiction, right? So he's thinking if she's copying someone, as in an actual flesh and blood person.
What did you say?
but
Oh? You think?
Hey,
What did you say?
Okay.
no.
What?
That's
huh?
How nice!
huh?
So the idea of ultimates?
So,
You guys are ready?
could it be
All right.
but
Hmm.
if I remember correctly,
What?
What's the point?
okay.
Gee.
Hmm. Not sure I... Hmm.
Don't tell me.
I don't know, Himiko. I don't know how many layers we're operating under here anymore.
Hmm.
But
Eh?
remember,
Yep.
aren't we proof of that? In this fictional world, we overcame all these fictional struggles. But those things changed us, and we were able to change the world. So it doesn't really matter where the truth ends and where the lies begin. If lies can change the world just as well as the truth can, then lies are just another way of telling the truth. Some lies can lead the world to hope. Some truths can lead the world to despair. So I don't think anyone can really say which is more right in the end.
Hmm.
Yeah, and this of course leads back into Shuichi's, well, I guess fictional background of a detective, and he discovered the truth, but at the cost of putting this guy away, and that made him feel bad. Yeah, I've heard this talked about before. this whole idea of truth. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but it's something like, you know, someone can tell a story, and that story can be true, even if it's not literal, or it can be, you know, like metaphorically true, or something like a parable, right? And it's true in the sense that even if it's not something that literally happened, it gets to a sort of deeper meaning in that, you know, it points to something. And it's exactly as Himiko says here. It's what it leads to. In that sense, I'm not sure I'd say... I'd want to... I guess it depends, but... Because when you say lie, you know, there's intent to deceive in there. And... I'm not sure that's what we're talking about exactly. It's more like we're trying to illustrate something more important than what you can get to with just the plain facts or something like that. So I'd say fiction rather than lie. Or I wouldn't call fiction lies, even though at times they've kind of put the two together. Yeah. I mean, so I think I get it. I mean, I'm no expert or I'm not some kind of critic or anything like that, but I think I get it.
Okay. We stand with one foot in fiction and one foot in reality.
Then, we need to see for ourselves whether this fictional world has changed the outside world, and what we can do from this point on.
You're right. We can't stay in this fictional world forever. It's already over. We gotta take all the experience we earned in this world and go on to the next.
Yeah. Let's go. We'll see what this world gained and what it lost. And all the rest. Let's find out together.
The story lives on. The end. Now are we back at the main menu? I think we are. Okay, let's load into this real quick. Okay, so we're back here. Looks like there's some content hasn't been unlocked, huh? Strengthen bonds. Train students. Okay, so we have some extra stuff, and I'm not all that interested. Somewhat surprised we finished today. I really thought... I thought there could have been at least 2 more episodes. I thought it was going to be this episode, and then I thought there was going to be one more after this. But, no. I guess I don't really remember. I don't remember how long or how much there was after the last trials of DR1 and or DR2. So maybe this was expected and I just don't remember. Yeah. So overall, I do like that. I like that they weren't killed. That would have been really bittersweet. But this was, funnily enough, as I said, it was pretty dang hopeful at the end there. And then of course they had to they were saying, okay, if you guys are upset that we made DR1 and 2 fictional or something, we're gonna leave in a sort of vague mention that, oh, she was copying someone, so maybe all that, or at least something equivalent to what happened, did happen. So if that's something you were worried about, they're gonna go ahead and leave you with that. So yeah. Oh man. I don't really know what to do now. I wasn't expecting to get to the end today. Well, clearly I'm gonna have to do an epilogue, as is what I usually do. We're probably gonna talk about... I'll probably talk about the story in general. I'll talk about the various trials, which ones were my favorite, and which ones were my least favorite. We'll probably do a character tier list. That's kind of a staple of my epilogues at this point, so probably still do that. And then maybe we'll do a little retrospective, or at least I'll give my thoughts on the Danganronpa series as a whole, as a complete thing now. And I would certainly welcome any sort of feedback, or if you want to talk about anything in the comments, or if you want to send me a message on Discord or anything like that, feel free to do that. There will probably be a bit of a gap. There's going to be... because I usually like to wait a little while before starting on the epilogue, so there may be a few days where I don't upload anything. That's normal. There's and then we'll probably talk about the future. If you'd like to suggest what I should do next, you could probably give a suggestion. I'm thinking of a couple things, and certainly if you want to give your opinion, you could do that here or in the epilogue. But I do need to finish the Zero Escape series. That's on the docket. And of course, not too long ago, there was a new... or it's not new, but it's new to PC. There was a... I don't remember which trilogy, but there's another Ace Attorney that got released. Now, I haven't done any Ace Attorney on this channel, but it's a series that I have played, and as I said, I don't what I value in what I personally value in a Let's Play is particularly the blind aspect of it. So unfortunately, even if you'd want me to play the previous ones, I don't think I want to do that. I've already played them. I know all the twists and turns. But this new one that came out, I think the guy's name's Apollo, right? Apollo Justice, I think his trilogy came out, and those ones I haven't done. Although there's an asterisk on that. So, and if we ever get around to doing that, I'll explain everything before we start. But those are the two I'm kind of leaning towards. So if you have a preference between the two, let me know. If you're not gonna join me for the epilogue, then I'm gonna just give a brief summary of my thoughts And I will say, taken as a whole, I think I enjoyed my time with DRV3. Certainly, even if at the last trial there, even if there were some things that kind of made me unsure or uneasy, overall, throughout the whole game, I enjoyed my time, certainly. I mean, Danganronpa thus far, throughout the whole series, it's been a winning formula, right? So just more of that is you're probably going to do pretty well, and so I'd say they did pretty well. Again, a bit. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know the state of and any sort of potential critique or anything like that needs to be, it's like I'm not a writer. I'm not a critic or professional in anything of that nature. So it's not like, what does my opinion count for, right? What is, so even if it's something like, oh, I don't think, I may have preferred if they'd gone for a different twist than the fourth wall break sort of thing. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just, it's just more of a preference thing at that point. So even if it didn't go a direction I would have preferred, and it's not like I can think of an alternative right off the top of my head. I still think it was pretty dang good, and as time goes on, and I'll have time to think about it more, and I'm sure I'll hear more of your thoughts. I'll probably be able to appreciate it more. Yeah, and I will say, we'll get into this in the epilogue, but it's probably gonna be the Kokichi trial that was probably my favorite. We'll go into more detail later, but that was probably just the whole idea of turning the tables on Monokuma. That was fun. That was good. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah. All right. We'll get into a lot more specifics with the epilogue. I don't know if we'll look at if there's a particular. Again, I don't know about any of these extras here. I don't think there's anything I need to see. But again, I'll wait a bit before doing the epilogue. If there's something that is absolutely something I should see and you want me to know about it, you could let me know. But otherwise, that's probably going to be it for me. I'm not a completionist. I don't care too much about collectibles and such. But if there's something that story-wise that adds more context or is just a very interesting, and I mean, I'm probably not going to go back. I mean, I might in my own time go back and look at some of the back routes and things like that, but for recording purposes, I probably don't count that as too important. But if you'd like to suggest it, you can go ahead and do that, and I'll let you know if it's something I'll. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, everybody. I've been the Worm. This has been Danganronpa V3. Thank you for joining me and making it this far. I hope you're all doing all right, and I hope you'll join me for whatever comes next. Alrighty. Have a good one. Bye-bye.